Welcome to Learn English Through Documentary, Female Empowerment Series. Today we will watch the story of an American police officer, Jordan, who dedicated herself to providing help to the deaf community. In this video, you will learn about the following content. In America, among the deaf population, a large percentage has been crime victims. Officer Jordan saw their difficulties and helped establish the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison Unit to serve as the bridge between the deaf community and the police. Officer Jordan hoped when she retired, she could work for a deaf nonprofit organization and continue helping the deaf community. In addition, you can learn the following vocabulary: deaf, sexually assault, victim, conflict, communication, arrest, sign language, interpreter, nonprofit organization, expand. You can also learn the following phrases: help somebody out, throw somebody something away, and the sentence pattern in order to verb. We've designed 3 questions for the content and cultural knowledge. Finally, there will be 10 questions to help you review what you learn. Before entering today's episode, we have the first question for you. During her schooling, Officer Jordan was exposed to the deaf culture and later dedicated herself to mediating the conflicts between the police and the deaf. Is this statement true? Listen closely. The answer is in the video. Now let's begin our video.
Look at the Capitol. You know, people travel around the world to see the Capitol, and we get to see it every day. We're in the 2100 block of Mississippi Avenue. This area has a lot of deaf and hard of hearing individuals that live in this area. From sexual assaults.
A male student at the Maryland School for the Deaf was hospitalized after allegedly being sexually assaulted.
To theft.
They say the victim in this case, who is deaf and nonverbal.
Money fraud.
We have new information tonight about a lottery scam targeting the deaf.
So over in this area. So you see a lot of crimes over here, a lot. We have officers assigned to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing unit. We have 2 officers, myself. The 2 of us take all calls. We're notified about any and all cases that take place within the District of Columbia.
Negative K, nothing further. Just see the cabbie on the corner.
He was originally not need one.
I became a police officer April 23rd, 1990. And once I graduated from the academy, I was assigned to the 1st District. From there, I worked in forensic science for a number of years. During that time, I was a student, and I was taking a culture class, deaf culture class, and I wrote a paper on the cultural conflict between the police and deaf and hard of hearing. And so that's kind of how I started bringing the two cultural worlds, as I see it, together. I was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1969. Then my family, we moved to South Carolina because my grandparents became ill. Next door was a young lady. She's a little older than I am. She was deaf and hard of hearing. Her name is Rowena Brown. We played together as kids, and that's how her language became a part of my world today, because she was deaf and hard of hearing. And by playing together, meaning we had doll babies, how I learned the alphabet, she wrote A in the sand and showed me A, B, B, on and on. The alphabet became words, the words became phrases, and the phrases became my language today. You need help?
Yeah. No, it's okay. No, you gotta sit on my.
Huh?
You gotta go now.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We are going to 1825 Northeast. This is a victim that I've known for over 20 years. We befriend each other. When I initially met him, he was a victim of a crime. And he's deaf as well.
Did you get the answer? The answer is true. In the video, Officer Jordan took the deaf culture course during her schooling and wrote a paper about the cultural conflicts between the police and the deaf. Later on, Officer Jordan helped establish the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison Unit and dedicated herself to helping them. Let's review the vocabulary of this section. Deaf. When I first met him, he was a crime victim. He was deaf as well. Victim. In America, 25% of deaf women are victims of domestic violence. Conflict. I wrote a paper on the cultural conflict between the police and deaf and hard of hearing. After learning these 3 words, we will teach you one tip to memorize vocabulary, which is to learn a word by breaking it down. Take sexually assault, for example. The verb sexually assault consists of sexually and assault. Sexually is related to sex, whereas assault means to attack or offend. Combining both, you will get the meaning of rape. A male student at the Maryland School for the Deaf was hospitalized after allegedly being sexually assaulted. Before entering the second part, let's have a look at our question. Why do deaf people often have conflicts with the police? A. Deaf people often attack the police. B. The police once mistakenly killed a deaf person. C. Deaf people can't hear police officers' orders and are deemed as not obeying, so they are falsely arrested. D. The police discriminate against the deaf, resulting in ongoing disputes. Listen closely. The answer is in the video.
My name is Amen. Sounds like Amen or Amen. I have an Egyptian accent, but that's okay. She's just amazing, and she's almost like a sister to me. And I've known her almost, I would say, about 15 years. You know, generally there's a problem with communication between police officers, you know, and often deaf people see police officers as a threat. Something happened at Gallaudet University, and the deaf person was innocent. Whatever the situation was, they had gotten into a fight with someone, but the officer misunderstood the situation and was ready to arrest the deaf person. And when the deaf person took out a pen and paper to write, the police officer thought that, you know, it was a threat. The person was going into their pocket. So it was kind of rough for that deaf person to experience being arrested and then forced down on the ground and try to explain that they were deaf. But of course, the communication was just very confusing and there was a lot of misunderstanding.
Okay. Sit down. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
As her daughters scream, she is put in handcuffs so she can no longer sign and drops her phone.
Don't tell her to put her hands behind her back. Tell her to put her hands behind her back.
There's something that officer not understanding the sign language, and first of all, they cannot talk. We automatically freeze and we don't know what to do. Now, all this year, we're trying to educate the officer at the PDT or academy. We go to the new officer about the deaf, hard and hearing unit. So whenever they're interacting with the deaf people, we understand their problem and trying to help them out. And we trying to come out with that using our unit as leverage.
Before I knew her, I was a little nervous around police because of my past experience with police department. Oh, it was really tough to get interpreters. So I felt like I was lost in communication. I was going circles. I'd be in jail or prison and wouldn't have the communication. And my being arrested wasn't a good experience. I would get hurt, and it was hard for me to trust the police. But ever since Myra, it's made it easier for me to feel comfortable with the police.
I'm a CODA, child of a deaf adult. Both of my parents are deaf. I just met Officer Jordan this past year. I know that she established the Deaf and Hard of Hearing unit for the Special Liaison Branch here for MPD. And ever since that, I've built this relationship or established a relationship with Myra Jordan. She's been someone that I look up to because everything that she stands for is something that I support and something that I could see myself doing in the future as well.
So this is a VP, which is a video phone, and it allows the deaf to communicate with the hearing. And there's a live interpreter on one side, and then there's the deaf person that can call either a landline or a cell phone to communicate with a hearing person. And you can have this same VP downloaded on your phone. So I can either do it from my phone or from the computer screen. It's called TTY, Telephone Writing Unit. This is very old technology. We still are required to have it. And you can use it in two ways. Like if somebody called, you can just take it, put it here, and start typing. So older individuals who don't have internet services, they still can use a TTY machine to communicate with the police department. I attended Gallaudet for 3 years. I did not graduate from there, but I wanted to enhance my communication and my love for the language. And in order to do so, I needed to surround myself with deaf and hard of hearing individuals, not just from a classroom setting, but from a community setting as well, because you can learn so much out of the classroom, or just as much out of the classroom than in the classroom.
Yes, hi, my name is Daniel Bauer, and I worked here for almost 16 years. Since 2017, working with her, like we've seen each other in passing, different situations that have come up, she's always there for us. She's always helping us through sticky situations, whether it's good or bad. Officer Jordan has always been there to support. When I was hired as a police officer, I climbed the ranks, and then she kind of led me to be a better officer here on campus. And they looked at us and viewed us the same. And one time I was feeling like nothing, and she said, "No, you and I are the same." Myra Jordan would tell me that we're the same. You're climbing the ranks, and there's lots of people who have become better officers because of Myra Jordan, and I'm one of them.
Did you get the answer? The answer is C. Deaf people can't hear police officers' orders and are deemed as not obeying, so they are falsely arrested. In this section, many deaf people mentioned the conflicts between them, and the police were mainly due to the inability to communicate and caused a lot of misunderstanding. Whenever the deaf tried to take out a pen to communicate, the police thought they might take out weapons. Deaf people can't hear the orders from police officers, so they get wrongfully arrested. Due to the reasons above, the misunderstanding between the two groups grew deeper and deeper, leading to their mistrust towards the police. Let's learn the vocabulary of this section. Communication. The communication was just very confusing, and there was a lot of misunderstanding. Arrest. Deaf people cannot hear police orders and are often arrested unfairly for disobeying orders. Next, we will practice 2 ways to learn vocabulary. Do you remember the way we learned sexually assault in the previous section? That's right. It's breaking down the words. Sign language. First of all, we can break this noun into sign and language. Sign has the meaning to send messages through one's hands, whereas language is the tool we use to communicate. It can be words or sounds. Combining both, you will get the language that communicates through hands. There's the issue of officers not understanding sign language. If you see a word that you don't understand, but it can't be broken down, you can use context clues instead. First, let's take a look at the whole sentence. It was really tough to get interpreters, so I felt like I was lost in communication. Next, understand the former and the latter sentences. The former is, something is hard to find, while the latter is, I felt I cannot successfully communicate. Finally, with both the former and the latter sentences, we can infer the meaning of interpreter. Without an interpreter, the deaf person in the video couldn't communicate. So what is an interpreter? Did you get it? An interpreter is a person in charge of translation through words. An interpreter can translate the sign language into another language immediately, allowing the deaf to communicate with hearing people without trouble. There is an important phrase in this section: help somebody out.
After we learn sign language, we can understand deaf people's difficulties and help them out. Please repeat after me. After we learn sign language, we can understand deaf people's difficulties and help them out.
Next, we will learn a commonly used sentence pattern. Let's take a look at these 3 examples. In order to improve my communication, I need deaf and hard of hearing individuals around me. In order to help with the student's studies, the school arranged a reviewing lesson before the exam. The hawk flapped its wings in order to soar higher. Did you see that? In order to verb is used to express the goal of the action. This is the final question. This documentary is called Breaking the Silence. What kind of meaning do you think the name suggests? A. Silence refers to the voiceless world of the deaf people. B. Breaking refers to Officer Jordan's dedication to building a bridge between deaf people and the police. C. Breaking the silence refers to Officer Jordan's hope to eliminate the communication barrier between the deaf people and the police. D. All of the above. Listen closely. The answer is in the video.
It just popped in my head today. I want to do a Christmas dinner for Deaf Reach.
Okay.
And I want us to serve them.
When do you want to do it?
I figured we would look at our calendar and see what is available for all of us. So I retired about 4 years ago after serving 26 years with the Metropolitan Police Department. And I stayed off for a few months. But my love for the community, I wanted to come back and continue to serve the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Unit. Deaf Reach is a nonprofit organization that deals with deaf and mentally ill or secondary disabilities. Deaf Reach has been around for a long time, and they have a very special place in my heart. It's so funny because one member said that she's been there for 33 years and don't have any family to even come visit her. So every year we go and we celebrate her birthday. Some of their families have just thrown them away to this group home and not reach back and try to develop a relationship.
It's me, it's Myra. You feel the badge and see it's me, Myra. You feeling okay? I'm happy to see you. I want to see you happy. I want to see you happy. I'm an old woman. I'm an old woman. You're an old woman? Love you.
My future goal before I leave the police department or retired from the police department, I would like to see other officers, or to expand the deaf and hard of hearing unit. I would like to see those officers take the deaf and hard of hearing unit to the next level. And me personally, I would like to go work in a non-profit deaf and hard of hearing agency once I finally retire from the police department.
Did you get the answer? The answer is D, all of the above. Because deaf people can't hear or talk, they often become the targets of crimes. Due to their inability to communicate with the police, they cannot receive help or even get mistreated. Officer Jordan knew about their difficulties and did a lot to solve their problems. In addition to establishing the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison Unit and maintaining tools allowing both to communicate without trouble, she also hoped to provide help to deaf people after retirement, in order to break the silence caused by their inability to communicate. Now, let's review important vocabulary of this section. Nonprofit organization. Deaf Reach is a nonprofit organization that deals with the deaf and mentally ill, or those with secondary disabilities. Expand. I would like to see other officers or to expand the Deaf and Hard of Hearing unit. There is an important phrase in this section: throw somebody something away. First, have a look at these 3 examples. Some of their families have just thrown them away to this group home and not reached back. The family threw away their worn bed so they had the space for a new one. The mechanic threw the broken parts away in the junkyard. Did you get it? The phrase throw somebody something away means to get rid of somebody or something that you don't want. After watching the video and learning the vocabulary, phrases, and sentence pattern, let's review together and deepen your memory. The content of this video is Officer Jordan of America saw the difficulties of the deaf population and dedicated herself to providing help for them. During her service, she helped establish the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison Unit, so the deaf and hard of hearing individuals can communicate with the police. Officer Jordan also hoped other police officers could expand the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison Unit and increase its leverage. She also hoped that she could attend a nonprofit organization to continue providing service for deaf people after she retired. The important words in the video are deaf, sexually assault, victim, conflict, communication, arrest, sign language, interpreter, nonprofit organization, expand. Important phrases and sentence pattern are help somebody out, throw somebody something away, and in order to verb. Next on, we are broadening your vocabulary. Let's learn vocabulary about deaf, deafness, deaf-blind, deaf-mute, deaf culture, deaf aid, lip reading, sign language, conversation by writing, child of deaf adults. After learning these words, do you have a better understanding of the world of deaf people? After finishing the video, we have compiled cultural knowledge for you. The members of the deaf community are not determined by the degree of hearing loss, but by personal identity and behavior. Therefore, some individuals with normal hearing learn sign language and deaf culture through deaf schools and deaf parents. One such person is Judy Kihumba, the founder of Talking Hands Listening Eyes on postpartum depression. Due to the communication difference of deaf people, they have a hard time seeking help from the society. This isn't limited to the judicial system. It also happens in the medical system. Deaf women often delay seeking medical help when they are in need, leading to their limited chance to acquire health information. Medical workers, especially midwives, lack knowledge about the deaf. These are likely to cause deaf people to be hospitalized for a longer period after giving birth and have more complicated postpartum care needs. Kenyan Sign Language interpreter Judy Kihumba came forward for this purpose. She promoted the psychological health care for breastfeeding deaf mothers. She established the Talking Hands Listening Eyes on postpartum depression to accompany deaf mothers finishing their postpartum process and break the silence of postpartum silence. In 2022, she was named one of the 100 most inspiring women in the world by the BBC. Today's course has come to an end. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.